up and down the eastern seaboard, actually. We are going to see those risks. The waves and the swells will extend much further south than maybe you might imagine. So I want to show you where we'll see those risks. Certainly out here on the Cape, we will see some of the biggest risks when it comes to those impacts from the surf. Well, watching and the track, watching, first of all, trough right now, which is helping to tug Ernesto up to the north. There is a weakness in the ridge. There is another trough that comes in as we get into the weekend. That's actually really important to help guide Ernesto continuing up to the north and then move to the northeast eventually. But again, those troughs are important when it comes to the track. So if you're thinking you have some crummy weather in your forecast in the northeast this weekend, you should actually be thankful for it because it's going to keep this away if it all plays out, right? Now, rip currents are, though, going to be a risk, maybe even all the way down through North Carolina off the beaches there. We're going to have to keep an eye on the swells and the waves that are up, and the rip current risk could be increased. Seeing that as we get into your weekend, beaches along Virginia, Maryland, Jersey, we'll see an increase in rip current risk as well. And then here this weekend, we don't have a great weather forecast for you. Meanwhile, you're not probably going to be going out to the beach, but the waves are going to be up. And so rip currents are going to be a big risk here. The surf will be increased as well as we look at that forecast for Saturday, Sunday into Monday as well. Now, in this track, we are watching the intensity increase. And you might be wondering, are we going to go through some rapid intensification? The forecast is there for it to become a hurricane later today. And by tomorrow morning even, we'll have an increase in winds up to 100 miles per hour. That will be a 30-mile-per-hour increase from this morning to tomorrow. You need 35-mile-per-hour wind increase in 24 hours to get to rapid intensification. So are the ingredients in place? Well, water temperatures are plenty warm. Shear is light. Moist air is there, although I would put this as sort of in the middle because there is some dry air right now that has been affecting Ernesto, and that's something that we'll see how it affects the intensity going forward in the next 24 hours. Now,
so we're in some repeat pattern that we're in here across the middle of the country with the storm threat.
And you definitely see sort of the changing seasons a little bit in that, right? The jet streams now place. It's not your classic summer storms. There's a little bit more to it.
You're seeing the hints that we are getting there.
I know.
Getting closer to fall.
Still August, though. I know it's still hot for a lot of you.
Evening. Wow, I would have
Gold star for Allison. That's a good one.
Absolutely. Hand claps for that.
Yeah. I'm going to do both of those. Well, this viewer says no sunshade. I have dark tinted windows, which help a lot with the Arizona sun heat.
Things we should be doing.
We need to learn. Thank you for sharing. Keep those comments coming. You can share on social media any pics or video. Go ahead and share them with us using the hashtag YesTV, and we will share it on the show. This is another stretch here of pretty extreme heat with the heat advisories back again. We sort of had a moment without all of these heat advisories. They're back in a widespread way from eastern Texas through all of Louisiana, a good chunk of Mississippi, even southern Alabama, and then extending northward with the heat advisories going into effect in Kansas and Missouri. And we've got some excessive heat warnings in Oklahoma and Arkansas, plus Florida, too. We are in on it. I was looking at the satellite picture this morning to see if there's any clouds, anything to help you with the heat. No. There's nothing out there across the southern plains here. It is a cloud-free sky. Temperatures are heading up above 100. This is the temperature, not the heat index. And remember, the temperature is taken in the shade, so the forecast is technically in the shade. 101 in Dallas. It will feel worse out there in the sun. A lot of upper 90s to the whole southeast, and it will feel like it's above 100 for nearly everyone here. Corpus Christi, 110 because of our higher dew point. San Antonio, 105. Little Rock, 108 is how it will feel today. Really dangerous thinking about the fact that most kids are back in school across the South, and you got practices, whether it's football or soccer or maybe some softball. So we're still dealing, having to deal with this heat here well through the month of August. Typically, but this is an extreme stretch here. We're running above average. Oklahoma City here, hardly any clouds to break the heat today. Sunshine in that forecast. Temperatures at 3 o'clock when kids get off the bus, 97 degrees. They're running straight to the pool, aren't they? Today, the feels like is going up to above 100 by about lunchtime here, soon after in Oklahoma City. And you'll see that all the way through this evening. It's not until about 8 o'clock that we see the feels like drop below 100 here in Oklahoma City. Hard to find time to really do do anything outside for any lengthy amount of time considering this heat. Tomorrow, not much different. Look at Dallas. It actually gets worse, feeling like 108. It gets worse in Jackson, feeling like 107. Nashville, Atlanta, you're going to have a feels like into the 90s as well. In Tampa, we've got 102 for the feels like there. Now, Little Rock, Arkansas, tomorrow, our temperatures are going to be hot, but the feels like gets into that danger zone starting about 10 o'clock in the morning. We're jumping up. You can see from 10 to 11, we go from a feels like of 94 to 101, 111 for hours during the peak heating of the afternoon into the early evening. Now, don't forget our question of the day. Non-stop that we've had the issues with air quality, but also we've got more red flag concerns today with red flag warnings up and fire weather watches as well.
Yeah, a lot of this actually has to do with the fact that we're going to increase our chances for thunderstorm activity, but with not a whole lot of rain. So that dry lightning where you get thunderstorms, but not a lot of rain, but lightning that could spark off more fires.
Yeah. We learned that in this year so far, 86% of the fires have been caused by humans here, whether intentional or not, still human caused. Lightning was only about 3%.
Which is wild to think about. 86%?
Yes.
Wow.
So do your part out there. Be safe. Yeah. We, again, are watching these concerns for the fire weather in Oregon. But really, a lot of the West here just haven't had the increase in moisture that you need to get. Not that we're expecting a lot of rainfall, but you would love for some at least overnight humidities to recover a little bit. That
would certainly help us out. No question about it. Well, you can see what we've dealt with here year to date in California. The 5-year average when it comes to wildfires, acres burned at least, is 236,000. Well, so far, look at where we are compared to that 5-year average and compared to 2023. I mean, blowing both of those just out of the water.
And more than half of this is the Park Fire. I mean, that's been, unfortunately, not seeing much more containment than we had yesterday on the Park Fire. And again, continues to be a big fire. So looking at that Park Fire, 40%. So we were at 39% yesterday, inched up to 40% containment. It has burned over 420,000 acres.
Wow, amazing. Well, of course, with all those fires and the fires that are burning, they emit smoke. And so that gets up into the atmosphere and that can cause some issues. We're seeing some smoke coming from the fires from Canada as well, diving southbound here as we work towards the end of the week. So not just the fires here in the States, but we have to worry about what's going on north of the border, too.
I know, Minnesota, you finally get a front go through, the air clears out, but then the smoke comes in here. So that wind direction is everything. Air quality alerts are up in Oregon, yet again, parts of Nevada, Idaho, and in Washington state.
Well, of course, wildfires have burned millions of acres across the U.S. in recent years, and the damage those fires leave behind, that can impact the area in more ways than one.
Here are some of the dangers that are associated with burn-scarred landscapes. State lines with your tinted windows.
That's good question.
Heads up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, if you know, you can let us know that as well. Keep the comments coming, though, on our question, and share any fix-in video using the hashtag YesTV, and we will share on the show.